Hello everyone, welcome back to Matt for French Cars. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be replacing a manual transmission oil on this Peugeot 407 2-liter HDI with a 6-speed manual transmission. This oil in a manual transmission is supposed to be changed every 40,000 miles. I have no records of it previously being done, as I just got a vehicle now, like a month ago. So I'm just gonna show you how to do it, and I'll try to make this video as short as possible for your convenience. Right, my guys, so before we start any work, make sure your handbrake is proper pulled, because we're gonna need to jack up the front of a car and we don't want that car be rolling backwards. So yeah, pull your handbrake up, please. So I jacked up the car. As you can see, the axle sense should be placed under the marked up places for jacking up your vehicle. So if you have a look at the other side, it's the same. The jack stand is just under the marking where the jack is supposed to go. So if I move my car stays on the jacks. It's stable and everything is fine. So what I want you to do now is I want you to disconnect your battery. So remove top of your battery cover if you have one, and disconnect your negative and your positive battery terminals. Right, my guys, so the reason we disconnect the battery is because we need to disconnect this mass airflow sensor. We don't want our car to record any faults. That's why you disconnect your battery. And the reason why we need to disconnect mass airflow sensor is because we're going to be removing this air filter housing box out, so that we would be able to reach the breather of a gearbox, which sits in the top of a gearbox, because that's the place where you put your fresh gearbox oil through. So we're just gonna now carry on and do a little prep. So we're gonna undo this intercooler hose here. The reason why I'm doing this is because it helps to remove the air filter housing much easier. So just gonna move that a little bit to the side. As you can see, it covers this corner, so it's a bit in the way. The next thing you want to do is you want to undo this little clamp here, anti-clockwise as well on a clamp, in order so that you could actually just take it this one like this and just pull it out. What you want to do, you just want to pull this one out of your air intake box and just put it to the side a little bit. And now you can just put your finger down here a little bit. You can see there is a little catch. As long as you push a little bit, the rest of the gearbox, you can just literally pull it out quite easily. There we go. So we're doing it with one hand, so it's a bit tricky, nevertheless. So once your air filter housing box is out of the way, now you can look at your top of your gearbox, and you can see there is a little cover here which you remove, and under that, that's where you're gonna be filling up your fresh gearbox oil. Right, guys, so as you can see here under my car, I have a under engine cover, which is great to have, but in order for us to do this job, I'm gonna have to remove it. Some of it, under engine covers originally secured only by these little clips, which literally pulls out, and it's just a clip like this. Obviously this car is 11 years old, so someone has installed some 10mm bolts and like a little cable ties in the back. I saw this, it's just fine. I think some of you might not even have a under engine cover, which is absolutely fine. It's just gonna make your life a bit easier on this particular job. But either way, I'm gonna just crack on and undo all of them bolts and clips in order to take it off, so I can carry on and show you how to release your old gearbox oil. Right, so here is my under engine cover. Just have to pull it out of the way. So now if you go under the car, I can show you a location of our sump plug for the gearbox. It's not really a sump plug, it's just a gearbox oil release plug, basically, you can say. And that's the one. And if you can see, it has a hole for the square key, and this is the key should be used. It's a 8mm square. That's the only one I found which would fit exactly into the hole of this plug, and which would do the job the way it's supposed to. Right, so what I'm gonna do now, I'm just gonna put this square key into this gearbox sump plug, you can call it. Basically the plug which is designed to release the oil. I have a little tent here for the old oil to come out. I expect it to be around like 2.6 liter if it's all there. And we're just gonna have a look. Right, okay, so quite a nice oil coming out at the moment. We'll see how it goes here. This might not be enough, so we have another thing ready for it as well. Alright guys, what I want to show you now is this is my gearbox oil release plug, and as you can see, it has a little squished copper washer on it. So what we want to do, really, I'm gonna keep the same sump plug because it's still good to reuse. It looks alright. I'm pretty confident that it's gonna do the job just fine. What you want to do is just put fresh copper crush up washer on it to make sure that your new oil from your gearbox doesn't escape through this little gearbox oil release plug. So we're gonna just reinstall the gearbox oil release plug now, sticking it back in a hole and doing it up. Okay, so you want to make sure it's done up properly. So we're gonna put some strength on it. Make sure that copper washer crushes up and seals up the deal. Here we go. That is being replaced now. The oil is out. We're gonna go now and fill up some fresh oil. Right, my guys, so what we're having here today is a fully synthetic 75 W80 manual transmission fluid, or you can call it gearbox oil. We have 3 liters of it. We're going to be using 2.6 liters of it today, as that's the capacity and that's the requirement for this gearbox. And we're going to be using one of these guys. We're going to stick it, if you remember well, we're going to be sticking it in this breather here. Make sure it sticks in nicely, and we're going to be letting a transmission fluid through it slowly to make sure that some of the air possibly escapes while the oil is going into the gearbox. Alright, so it's time for fresh oil. So like I said, nice and slowly just put the fresh oil in. Right, my guys, so as you can see now, we just fill up 2.6 liters of fresh gearbox oil or transmission fluid into this gearbox. Just gonna be removing this. And all I need to do now is just to put this low black cover back on it here. Here we go. So that's all filled up now. Now we're just gonna be putting everything back together here, and we're gonna be good to go in no time. Alright, my guys, so we're going to be starting from reinstalling a air filter housing box back. The main thing, you want to make sure your pipe here maybe is a bit, you know, squished so that that side can go through, and then these two bits has to go in here, and you literally just press in a little bit harder and that'll be alright. Now here we have to make sure this little thing here goes back on a place here like this. Everything looks here alright. Now we need to do this bottom thing, air intake. Gonna pop it back in a place into the air filter housing, and we're gonna put our intercooler hose back on. Right, so what we can do now is we can do up this intercooler hose. Make sure that one doesn't come off. And we can do up this clamp here. Okay, now you can connect your mass airflow sensor back on. Once your mass airflow sensor connector is back on, that's the time you can reconnect your battery. We're gonna be just tightening this one up. Alright, so just tie it up. Make sure your battery terminals are nice and tight again. Here we go. And now the job is done. All we need to do is release the car off the axle stands, put it back on the floor, and then we're gonna be good to go. I would put under engine cover tray back on as well, but I have inspected and realized that few things are broken, so I'm gonna have to refurbish it, solder iron some of the plastics back on, and only then I'm gonna be putting it back on. So I'm not gonna show you now how I'm putting it back on, because I'm not gonna put it back on now. So I'm just removing the axle stands now and just dropping the car back on a foot. Right everyone, so the gearbox oil has been replaced, and now I'm just gonna take this little baby for a test drive and see how it feels, if it is any difference with a fresh gearbox oil. Hopefully it is. Hopefully the gears are more smoother. That would be the expectation. And thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video and find it useful. And if you did, please subscribe my channel.